Now imagine what it would be like to live with 4 generations under one roof in Columbus, Ohio. That's what Lisa Cini is doing in one grand experiment. Now every family knows that living together has its challenges and complications. Now multiply it by 3. But so do caring, happiness, and life. And that is what Lisa Cini discovered. Her 4 generations, one roof in Columbus, Ohio, where today, Lisa's social experiment is playing out just fine and everyone's thriving, including the eldest member of Lisa's hive, 95-year-old great-grandma Lily, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia. Now, this was an idea that made sense given the focus of Lisa's career. She's the CEO of Mosaic Design Studio, an award-winning global commercial design firm that's the leader nationwide in Alzheimer's and long-term care design. And she's here today to show you how to help yourself or someone you love age with grace and style, and how to thrive in your hive. Let's meet Lisa Cini. All right, Lisa, so 4 generations, one roof. Are you nuts?
People might say I'm nuts, but you know, having done senior living for over 25 years, what I noticed was that not only did 90% of the people not want to go into senior living, but it's expensive. It can range from $3,000 to $12,000 a month. And secondly, no one wants to be uprooted from their home and their neighbors and people they love. Right. So when my parents and my grandmother needed to move in with someone or a home, kind of the choice was easy. I'm the eldest daughter, and that's typically, you know, how that falls. And so we decided to do this. I better practice what I preach.
Wow, it's pretty impressive. So the first question is, so did your parents and grandma actually come willingly? Did they move in with you willingly?
Yeah. Well, I think at first they looked at ranches, and it was all about how they reduced their impact, how they would go from, hey, let's not do stairs anymore, let's not do this and that. And I just saw that as a huge negative, especially in my business. So I convinced them to move in. They weren't really willing, but I noticed there was a funny thing, was that I caught my parents counting my stairs in my house. And not once, not twice, but 3 times I caught them counting my stairs. And I thought, what is going on here? Why are they doing this? And what they were actually doing was they were convinced that my stairs were higher than their stairs. They thought somehow this was going to be detrimental to their health, and that was going to be the case. And I had to convince them that, you know, most people don't fall on stairs. They fall because they're getting up in the middle of the night, they're over-medicated, they're tripping on something. But stairs were actually great for them. And what we noticed was, like, the first week, you know, I'd hear them going up and down the stairs. I could actually physically hear them, the moaning and groaning, and they were slow. Second week, it was a little bit lighter. Third week, not so much moaning and groaning. And by the 4th week, they were out walking the dog and engaging in life again.
That's great. So It made a huge difference just in their activity.
Most definitely.
So what about your concerns? So again, this is a big social experiment, bringing everyone together. What were you worried about, or what were you afraid of?
This might sound not so great, but I do senior living design, but I am not a caregiver. And my sister-in-laws had to take care of my mother-in-law when she had broken her wrist from falling. And they had to bathe her and help her go to the bathroom. And I had heard about this, and I thought, oh God, the worst thing that I could ever have to do is to, you know, wipe my mom and dad's rear end. So just to be honest,
I'm not looking forward to that.
It's like, I'm like, that's my future and I don't want to have it. So I also wrote a book on technology in senior living. And
right here, yeah.
Right here, yes. And I had experienced bidet toilets in Japan. And I thought, this is what we're going to do. We're going to trial this out. I could never get any of my clients in senior living to test it. We installed them all over. And it is the best thing since sliced bread. Matter of fact, it's on the social networks, it's on Facebook. Anybody that comes to our house has to try it out. And my grandmother, who's 95 with dementia, I thought she won't understand it. And she told me about the second weekend, she said, Lisa, it helps me not to feel like I'm a burden.
Wow.
And it gives me my dignity.
Huh.
And you know, for an older woman,
Such a
that's
simple thing like that. Wow.
the privacy and to have dignity.
Wow, that's interesting. So that brings us to what are the biggest lessons you've learned? Again, 4 generations, 1 house, given the fact, and we're going to talk a little bit more about your past, I mean, what you've been doing for the past few years, but what have you learned? What's been some of your biggest takeaways?
I think my biggest takeaway is that it's not perfect. You're going to have failures. I write about it in the book. There are failed experiments that I thought were going to be great, that I had these grand ideas, and things didn't always work out. And so you have to kind of get rid of the idea of perfection. And once you do that and liberate yourself to be able to just make changes and figure out and kind of work at it like a recipe. I often say that the best way to do it is think about a pizza. So there's no right recipe, it's what's right for your family. And you can take off and put on what you want.
Very smart, very smart. So the next thing is there's a strange conflict of interest going on here because you've designed hundreds of senior care living residences. You make lots of money doing that. You have a very, very successful business. And what you're doing here, what you're preaching in your book and your social experiment seems to conflict with that. So why would you give away this great profession you have and teach people to live and operate outside of the environments that you're actually creating and being paid to do?
Well, my mission is to improve quality of life by design. So from that standpoint, I am doing it. I also honor my grandparents, both the ones that have passed and my grandmother who's still with me, and my parents. And I think when you're in senior living, it's about honoring those folks and engaging and connecting. The happiest thing that I could be doing is give people a tool. There's tools in this book, there's simple checklists to be able to help them engage in their own experiment because they might not see another option. They might see senior living as their own option. And I want to be able to give my knowledge that I've gained in the last 25 years doing thousands of homes to the folks that want to stay at home. Not everybody, has the financial means, nor do they want to go.
Right, and that leads us to the next thing, which is this right for everyone? You've got, high-end senior home buildings that you've been designing for years, and then you have this, and you're doing it, which is unusual. And let's face it, with the baby boom explosion that's going on right now, we've got a big issue, not just in the United States, but worldwide with the aging population.
Well, there's 46.2 million, I think, seniors that are out there, and by 2060, it's going to double. So it's a pretty huge number. And if you figure 90% of the folks don't want to be in senior living, 80% of the folks aren't in senior living. This is my next thing. I just want to give the tools out there so that you can age gracefully at home and embrace living. I think there are some people that, should go into senior living. There are some points with memory care that you need to. But if you could do it at home, I designed the most beautiful places. My team does a fantastic job, but I knew my mom and dad would never want to go.
Yeah.
And neither would my grandmother. And I'd rather have her with us every day and in the situation where she gets kissed and gets to tell me the weather and talk to my kids than trying to schedule a once-a-month visit.
Okay, and speaking of grandma telling you the weather, possibly over and over and over again.
Yes.
I'm just joking, but
No,
seriously,
yeah,
it's like,
no, it's
so she's
very
got
true.
this dementia and Alzheimer's. So my parents are going through this transition as well, and we're all afraid of this. So wouldn't or aren't people with Alzheimer's better treated in a facility versus at home? I mean, professional care versus at-home care. What's your opinion of that?
I think the folks that take care of people in purpose-built memory cares do a fantastic job. But if we can give some tools to the caregivers, to the families at home, I think there's a lot of skin, a lot of legs to be able to take care of somebody for a very long time in their home. And hopefully they will get to pass there and they won't get removed. I can't imagine waking up every day in an unfamiliar environment and not knowing where I'm at.
Right.
And then waiting to ask when my daughter's going to come or when my son's going to come. I do think that it does require some social skills, and I've been able to help, and I talk about it in the book. My mom, I help her with some coping mechanisms. Don't argue with grandma. I help, my husband and I help on the weekends. The kids certainly help out. And grandma says some things that she wouldn't normally say, before, and you just have to know where it's coming from and meet her where she's at.
Right. The filters change.
The filters definitely change.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your book, because you're giving your book away today,
Yes.
which is your grand social experiment. Again, not in your best business interest to be giving and sharing this information, but let's talk a little bit about what's in the book and how people go get it.
Well, thanks. What's in the book is it's going to be broke down with some design tips, and I've actually shown you how we've renovated the house, and I was quite surprised when I drew up the floor plans, but we really didn't do that much. We made some circular paths so that my grandma wouldn't get stuck some places, and made sure that she could see the bathroom and such, but we go through all of those kind of things that we did and why we did them. We didn't do massive renovations or cost a lot of money, and then we go through little things that are, what are you going to do about storage? How are you going to handle it? What are you going to do about privacy? How are you going to communicate? Who gets to own the TV? Who gets to own the kitchen?
Wow. So it's not just the location, it's the psychology, it's the getting along, it's the full gamut.
Most definitely. And then I end up with stories that are just hilarious, with my parents' permission. But yeah, I'm Italian, and I pretty much have, part of being able to get through this is making fun of our family through the
that's
whole
great.
thing. So it's kind of a chicken soup,
Love it.
meets all the different stories that you can even imagine of how Everybody Loves Raymond. Everyone laughs really hard. And there's a little bit of tears, but it's enough to get you where you need to go.
I love it. I love it. So where do they go to get the book right now?
They just go to lisamcini.com,
All right.
and you can get your free book.
All right, fantastic. Well, the next step is up to you. Lisa is very kind to give this away to you and do this, like I say, not in her best business interest, but she's doing it because she wants to make a difference, and there's a huge need for it. So head on over to lisamcini.com, get the book. It is called Hive, The Simple Guide to Multi-Generational Living. I'll see you very soon, and thank you for being here,
Thank
Lisa.
you so much.
All right.